Dear friends, welcome to this week's virtual Drasha. This week we have the incredible privilege to be Parshas Bechukosai and be Messiah in complete Chumash Vayikra. Parshas Bechukosai is filled with so many dramatic moments. On the one hand, the Parsha begins in such a beautiful, uplifting way. In Bechukosai Telecha, HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, if you listen to the mitzvahs, if you follow in my way, if you honor the covenantal relationship, HaKadosh Baruch Hu promises us so much incredible bracha and mazel and simcha. But conversely, in Bechukosai Timasu, if Chas v'Shalom we neglect our relationship with Hashem, if we trample that covenantal relationship, then unfortunately there are repercussions for that disobedience, for that non-compliance as well. And the pasuk itself, that is like the transition pasuk between the blessings, the brachos, and the klavos and the curses, reads as follows. This is in Perek Chav Vav, pasuk Yud Gimel, chapter 26, verse 13. Ani Hashem Elokeichem, asher hotzeisi eschem me'eretz Mitzrayim. I am Hashem, your God, that has taken you out of Egypt. So remember again, this is the transition pasuk. We just had the section of the brachos. Now we're going into the section of the klavos. We just had the section of the blessings. Now we're going into curses. And it's almost as if in this transition pasuk, HaKadosh Baruch Hu is reaffirming the relationship, saying, I love you, I care about you. And even though we're right about to go into the klavos, into this dark chapter of the Torah, I want you to know that the love is always there. The relationship is always there. Even if times are difficult, and even if you feel that I'm coming down on you hard, please know, I am Hashem, your God, who took you out of Egypt. Miyos lahem la'avadim. And I took you out of Egypt, and in Egypt you were slaves to the Egyptians, and I extracted you, I took you out, and I gave you freedom. Ve'eshbar motos ulchem, va'olech eschem komamius. And this last phrase, literally, eshbar motos ulchem. I shattered the yoke of your burden. So the imagery, of course, over here is the slavery imagery. Your slaves, your beasts of burden, you're buckling underneath the overwhelming servitude of Egypt. And when I took you out, I smashed the yokes of your burden. Va'olech eschem komamius. And I took you out, va'olech eschem, and I allowed you to walk. I helped you walk. Komamius. Komamius means upright. And Rashi HaKadosh comments on this. He says, Bekoma zekufa, with an upright or an erect posture. So on the Pashup shot, on the pasuk is, it's a contrast. When you were in Egypt, you were hunched over. When you were in Egypt, you were stooped over. When you were in Egypt, you were buckling underneath the burdens of servitude. And then I took you out. And when I took you out, you were able to stand upright. Va'olech eschem komamius. You are a proud people. You are people who is upright. You're not buckling underneath anyone's burden. And it's interesting, right? Because even though HaKadosh Baruch Hu, so to speak, placed a burden upon us, right? Not a burden in a bad way, but a burden of responsibility, Torah. But it's amazing, the Yid doesn't buckle underneath the burden of Torah. The burden of Torah, the yoke of Torah, the responsibility of Torah lifts me up. As opposed to the burden of servitude of Egypt, which caused me to be doubled over, the yoke of Torah lifts me up. Va'olech eschem komamius, standing upright. Bekoma zekufa. Beautiful, beautiful imagery. Then, of course, you go right into the Tochacha afterwards. Rabbi Nachman in Likuti Halachas, Rabbi Nachman of Breslov, says something incredibly beautiful. I want to quote you. The Rebbe writes, he says, Ki ha-mikra hazeh le'inyan Eretz Yisrael, shalasham hayu holchin Yisrael. The Rebbe says it's important to understand that the pasuk itself is really directed towards our entry, towards our journey into Eretz Yisrael. Because remember again, the entire purpose of Yitzias Mitzrayim, the entire purpose of Exodus, was number one, to enable us to acquire the Torah, right? And number two, armed with our Torah, to go ahead and activate the Kedusha of the land, connect with the Kedusha of the land, to go ahead and become a people who sees their destiny within the land of our destiny. He says, Kikol ha'alichos v'adracha manasiyosha Yisrael, v'chal ha'milchamos v'ha'kvishos ha'kol haya lelech v'lichboshes Eretz Yisrael. Rabbi Nachman said everything that we did, everything that happened to us in the desert, all of the battles and all of the wars and all of the journeys, were all for one purpose and one purpose only, to allow us to enter, to conquer, and to settle Eretz Yisrael. And he says something beautiful. He goes on, he says, V'zeu va'olech eschem komamius. He says this is the meaning. So what the Rebbe is saying is like this. Va'olech eschem komamius is not merely to create a contrast between being doubled over in servitude in Egypt versus being a free person who stands tall. There's something deeper. He says, Dahainu bekoma zekufa bechinas azus va'akshanos. What does it mean when Rashi adds in over here, Va'olech eschem komamios? Rashi says, right, become with an upright posture. What does it mean, an upright posture? And the Rebbe says, it means to live life ba'azos, ba'akshanos. Azos or ba'akshanos almost means with a chutzpah, Ba'azus literally means brazenness. Akshanos means like with a hardness. To live life with a brazenness and a hardness. What does that mean? Sha'omdim zikufim ba'akshanos gadol lenatseach hamilchama. To be able to stand up with a brazen hardness in order to be able to win the war. V'leilech v'lavo li'eretz Yisrael. You have to have v'olech eschem komamios, bekoma zakuf, an upright posture, the Rebbe says, means brazenness and hardness. In other words, a resolve to win the war for Eretz Yisrael. He goes on, v'leilech v'lavo li'eretz Yisrael shezeh hayikar tachlis yitzias Mitzrayim. For this was the entire purpose we left Egypt, was to be able to get to Eretz Yisrael. But you can't go ahead and conquer Eretz Yisrael as a humble, meek people. In order to conquer our land, in order to retain our land, va'olech eschem komamios, become as a kufa, an upright posture, says Rebbe, ba'azus, or ba'akshonos, brazenness and hardness. He goes on, ki afshar lavo li Eretz Yisrael lenatseach milchama zos. You cannot come to the land and be successful in this war. Ki im al yedei akshanos gadol ma'od. Unless, of course, your resolve is unbreakable. Unless, of course, you have a shtickle brazenness. Yeah, shtickle brazen and a shtickle hardness to you. V'zeu va'olech eschem komamios. What an incredible and overwhelming insight for Rabbi Nachman. So there's the Pashat Pshat, right? The Pashat Pshat is a contrast. You were doubled over under the burden of servitude in Egypt, and now you're free, and you stand upright. The Rebbe says it's so much deeper. Additional piece, because Rashi's adding in Bekom Zakufa. This is about how you go into Eretz Yisrael. This is about how to win the war for Eretz Yisrael. This is about how to maintain our ancestral heritage. It has to be Bekom Zakufa, V'olech eschem komamios, which means Ba'azus or Ba'akshanos. You see what the Rebbe is saying is like this: you want to accomplish something in life, you have to be a little bit brazen. You need a little bit of chutzpah. Because in life, when you want to accomplish something, the way it works is that the world is always going to tell you, you can't do it. That's the way the world relates to people who have lofty aspirations. And by the way, it's not just the world, we do it to each other also. We remember when Yosef dreamt his beautiful dreams, right? Yosef had his dreams, and those dreams foretold of incredible success, both material success, spiritual success. And what happened when Yosef told his brothers the dream? They hated him. They hated him. Such a strong reaction. Yosef was a kid. I understand you want to say they got annoyed at him. They got upset at him. I understand that. Rabbi Soloveitchik, says, because the world hates dreamers. The world doesn't like dreamers. The brothers didn't like Yosef, who was dreaming, because you know what dreamers do? Dreamers remind us that there is no glass ceiling. Dreamers remind us that our life could be whatever I want it to be. But I don't like dreamers, because I'm really happy where I am. I'm really settled where I am. I've kind of found my place in this nice little life spot that I've nestled into. I could do more. Don't talk about it. Stop talking about doing more. Stop talking about growth. Stop talking about aliyah. Stop it. Don't talk to me about dreams. Let's just focus. This is nice. This is nice. So the world hates dreamers, because dreamers remind us that we can be more. So when you have lofty goals in life, Rabbi Nachman says, be prepared. There's going to be a whole cacophony of voices, a whole chorus of disbelievers, a whole chorus who's going to say, you can't do it. You can't do it. So what do you have to do? So Klal Yisrael want to conquer Eretz Yisrael. The nations of the world are going to tell you can't do it. The nations of the world are going to tell you that you're unjust. The nations of the world are going to tell you that you're committing genocide. The nations of the world are going to convene emergency security meetings for the UN when they don't convene one meeting about your brothers and sisters who are being held hostage. The world is always going to try to push you down when you try to take that which, or retain that which is yours. And therefore HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, be strong. Bring that Jewish chutzpah. That chutzpah, that brazenness, that strongkeit is what has kept us on the map of humanity for thousands of years. Because how many times has humanity tried to tell us we can't, or they've actively tried to annihilate us? And yet, in this current war in Eretz Yisrael, We were saying we see this whole cacophony of voices that tells us you can't, you're wrong, you're immoral, you're this, that. The college campuses, all the craziness that's happening around us. And comes Parshas Bechukosai, and HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, just stay strong. You're not doubled over. You're not weak. You're not a slave. You don't have to walk around humbled and chastened in front of everyone. Those days are over. That was Egypt. In today's day and age, in today's world, the Jew stands strong and the Jew stands tall. The world is flinging so much stuff. I don't care. I don't care. Like Rabbi Nachman says, ba'azus u'ba'akshanos. I'm going to be a little chosbadik to the world. And I'm going to be a little bit brazen to the world. And I'm going to say to the world, I'm sorry. You have no moral ground to stand on. You have no moral voice that deserves to be heard. We are the light unto the nations. We've always been the light unto the nations. And we will continue to be the light unto the nations. But we stand tall for what we believe in. We stand committed to our sacred mission. And we will not back down, no matter how loud that cacophony of negative voices become. It's incredible the chizik that the Ribbon Shalom is giving us, but it's important to understand that it's not just on a global national level. It's not just concerning our current war in Eretz Yisrael. It's so important for our personal lives as well. In life, when you have a dream, you have a goal, you have an aspiration, be prepared. Someone's going to try to take it from you. Or if they don't try to take it from you, someone's going to try to take the wind out of your sails. And there's always going to be someone who tells you, you can't do it. That was Egypt. Egypt is when you get beaten down so much in life that you stop believing that you could accomplish anything. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, but you're not in Egypt anymore. I took you out. Ani Hashem Elokechem, asher hotzesi eschem me'eretz Mitzrayim. I took you out of Egypt. Those days are over. You don't have to walk around doubled over, humbled, bent over. You don't have to walk around like that. But if you have a dream, if you have something you want to accomplish in life, no one's rolling out the red carpets for you. And no one's going to come and tell you, oh, what could we do to help you actualize your goals, your dreams, and aspirations? That's not the way the world works. The holier the dream, the loftier the aspiration, the better the goal, the more resistance you are going to encounter, the more difficult it's going to become, and the more people who are going to say, you can't do it. And in that moment, if you believe in your cause, and you believe in your dream, and you believe in your goal, you believe in your aspiration, remember the Haftach, remember the promise of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Rashi, become as a kufa, upright position, upright posture. Rabbi Nachman, ba'azus u'ba'akshanos. Dig in and find your inner brazenness, and find your inner chutzpah, and find your inner hardness, and don't yield. Don't give up. Don't give in. If you want to make something happen for yourself in life, then ultimately it only happens. Become a zekufa, ba'azos u'ba'akshanos. Bring the brazenness, hone in the hardness, and accomplish what you need to do in life. Maybe Zochem Eretz Hashem, to internalize these beautiful words of the Rebbe, both as a nation, as Am Yisrael, maybe Zochem Eretz Hashem, Adon Yitzchon, to be able to wage our war until victory, and in our personal lives, maybe Zochem Eretz Hashem, to dig in, and to bring the necessary midos in order to allow for the actualizations of our goals, our dreams, and our aspirations. Wishing everyone a good Erev Shabbos and a beautiful Shabbos Kodesh.